Let us bring in Colorado Democratic Senator Michael Bennet, who won again last night, won his re-election. Senator, always good to have you. What do you chalk this up to?
I chalk this up to a relentless economic message, Katie, about how 40 years of Washington consensus about outsourcing and about trickle-down economics just isn't working for the American people. And there's a very clear distinction between me and my opponent on that. I think that it's a repudiation of Donald Trump's chaos and a recognition that we actually made progress, capping drug prices for seniors, for example, requiring Medicare to negotiate on behalf of the American people. And I think that, the overturning of Roe versus Wade was something that made people furious. So that combination of those three things made it a very good night in Colorado.
Senator Bennet, it's Hallie. I wonder how much you see the Trump factor is at play in your race. I spoke with your opponent just a couple of days before the election and asked him about that. He was very clear, as he said before, he is his own man. We know that the former president went after him in Colorado. How much do you see that as being a factor in your victory and your return to the Senate?
I don't think it was a huge factor, because I don't think my opponent was ever very persuasive on that subject. I mean, he had voted twice for Donald Trump, and he got religion 3 weeks before the election day. But I do think it's fascinating to see counties, and you know these counties well, like Douglas County, where I only lost by 6 points last night, El Paso County, where I only lost by 6 points last night. And those are places Democrats historically, including myself, expect to lose by as much as 20 points. And what we saw in red and rural Colorado was something very different this year.
Senator, looking ahead to 2024, and I know that's painful. We're barely surviving after being up all night on 2022, but our exit polling does show that more than 2/3 of voters do not want President Biden to run again. You align with the president, certainly before the midterms. Where do you stand on whether Biden 2024 should be the candidate? The standard bearer after seeing these results.
Yeah. Andrea, first let me say I do think we're going to win in Nevada and Georgia and in Arizona, and that's going to give us a real shot at Georgia as well, which I'm really excited about before we go to 24. And then I'm going to say what you would probably expect, which is this is up to President Biden to decide. He's going to have to consider a lot of different factors in making this decision. But it is true that he was the one person out of 330 million people that beat Donald Trump. And I think that if there were a rematch based on the results we just saw last night, I don't think there's any doubt that he would beat Donald Trump again.
What do you think of the Lauren Boebert race?
It's amazing. So I talked to her opponent, Adam, today. The race is very, very close, and I think she's going to have a hard time making up her deficit. And I think this is what happens when you treat your constituents with contempt and you spend all of your time on national television instead of doing the hard work that the people of the western slope of Colorado deserve, and in Pueblo, Colorado, deserve out of their congressional representative. We should know something, I think, later today.
Is Colorado a purple state, or would you say Colorado is now a blue state?
I would say it's a purple state. Katie, we have the largest registration by far in Colorado are unaffiliated voters, and I think that's why anybody who's in one of these jobs is smart to run like you're 20 points behind, which is how I treated this race, and I've treated every one of my races. I think Colorado will be a purple state for a long time to come.
Let's talk. If the Senate is as tight as we think it is going to be, we know it is obviously going to be tight, right? How do you see the role of one of your colleagues, for example? And listen, this is all hypothetical till we know more results here. Senator Joe Manchin, right? What are your governing priorities in the Senate, especially if the House does end up with a House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and you're looking to reconcile bills on that front from a governing perspective?
I mean, I think it's going to be honestly very difficult with a House that's led by Kevin McCarthy. I have not had trouble finding Republicans in the Senate to work with, but I mean, McCarthy is so beholden to Donald Trump. Maybe that will change. I doubt it will, which means that it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of friction in the air. The Senate can continue to approve judges, and I think we should pass bills that show what we stand for compared to what McCarthy and the Republicans stand for. And that needs to be, as I said, a very explicit economic message that is going to resonate with working people in red and blue parts of America. The Democratic Party, it's long overdue from the Democratic Party. I think we've begun turning the page, bringing the semiconductor industry back, fighting and winning those wins over pharma that we've been fighting for a generation. But there's more that we can do. We can pass bills to reverse the Trump tax cuts for the rich and extend my tax cuts for working people that I wrote with Sherrod Brown. I mean, I think there's ways of creating distinction and looking for opportunities to work together if we can find places where we can get stuff done on behalf of the American people.
Senator Bennet, thank you so much for being with us, and congratulations on your election victory.
Thank you for having me today.
It's
I
great
appreciate
to
it.
see you. We appreciate it.